Imagine a small Himalayan nation that the world knows for its peace, breathtaking mountains, and warm hospitality. But today, its streets are blocked, its markets are shut, and its citizens are out in anger. This is not just another day in Nepal. This is the story of protests that are threatening to drag the country 20 years back in time. The bigger question is simple: if these protests do not stop, will Nepal end up destroying its own economy and future? Nepal has always walked a fragile economic path. According to the World Bank, its GDP grew by around 5.1% in 2023. But that growth is already under pressure from inflation, remittance dependency, and weak exports. Now, with repeated protests and strikes disrupting daily life, the damage is multiplying. Supply chains are broken, essential goods are running short, and the backbone of the economy, tourism, is collapsing. Tourism is Nepal's lifeline. Every year, around 1.2 to 1.5 million tourists from across the globe come to trek the Himalayas, climb Everest, or explore Kathmandu's heritage. This single sector contributes roughly 7% to Nepal's GDP and provides livelihood to hundreds of thousands. But when international news outlets show images of violent protests and road blockades, tourists immediately cancel their trips. Reports already suggest that nearly 25% of bookings in this year's peak trekking seasons have been cancelled. This is not just a number. It is a clear signal that Nepal's global image is turning from a peaceful destination into an unstable one. And the cost of this bad reputation will not fade quickly. It may haunt Nepal for the next 5 to 10 years. So why are people protesting in the first place? The roots lie in political instability. After the new constitution of 2015, Nepal shifted into a federal democratic structure. But corruption, unemployment, and infighting among political parties eroded public trust in the system. People's basic needs, electricity, job, healthcare, are still not adequately met. And when frustration piles up, the streets become the only option. But here lies the irony. People are protesting for their rights, yet in doing so, they are unknowingly damaging the very foundation of their future. Nepal is heavily dependent on remittance, money sent home by workers abroad, which account for around 30% of its GDP. Millions of Nepali workers are employed in India, the Gulf, and Malaysia. But if political unrest inside the country continues, foreign investors and international development partners will lose faith. Without fresh investment, the domestic job market will collapse further, forcing even more Nepali youth to leave the country. This is how a vicious cycle is created. Instability fuels brain drain, which in turn weakens the economy even more. The human cost of protest is visible everywhere. Daily wage workers, who make up almost 60% of Nepal's working population, lose their income whenever transport shutdowns or market close. Students cannot attend schools. Families face shortages of fuel and food. And small businesses suffer heavy losses. This is not just about numbers on a GDP chart. This is about ordinary people struggling to survive day by day. If we step back and take a long-term view, the picture becomes even more concerning. The Asian Development Bank has warned that if political instability and this culture of strikes continues, Nepal's per capita income could end up being 20 to 25% lower over the next decade compared to a stable scenario. That means Nepal would fall even further behind its Southeast Asian neighbors. Take Bhutan for example. In 2010, Bhutan's GDP per capita was around $2,000, similar to Nepal's level. But because Bhutan built stability and a sustainable tourism model, its per capita income has nearly doubled to $3,900 by 2023. Nepal meanwhile is still stuck around $1,400. The difference is striking at it shows one simple truth: without stability, economic growth cannot survive. The social fabric of Nepal is also under threat. Continuous protests and violent clashes create hopelessness among the youth. Every year, more than 500,000 Nepali young people apply for foreign employment. They are not leaving because they want adventure. They are leaving because they feel their own country cannot give them security or opportunity. And if the protest continues, the sense of hopelessness will deepen. A nation cannot build its future if its young population is constantly trying to escape. But is there a solution? Yes, there is. The first step must be restoring trust in the political system. The government and opposition parties need to open dialogue, not battle in the streets. Reform must address corruptions, unemployment, and governance failures that fuel this anger. Secondly, Nepal needs to diversify its economy. Tourism alone cannot carry the weight of a nation. Hydropower is one sector with massive potential, nearly 80,000 megawatts of untapped capacity. If foreign investor can be attracted with assurance of stability, Nepal can turn its river into the next growth engine. Thirdly, civil society and youth organizations must recognize that every protest has an economic cost. Democracy is about debate and reform, not endless road blockades that paralyze the nation. The lesson from history is clear. Nations that allowed instability to define them, whether in Africa, Latin America, or South Asia, took decades to recover. Nations that controlled unrest, created dialogues, and built consensus moved ahead much faster. Nepal is now standing at that exact crossroads. This brings us to the final questions. Are protests necessary to protect democracy, or are they pulling Nepal backwards? The reality is that protest is a democratic right, but when it drags the economy down, when it threatens livelihoods, when it stops schools, hospitals, and businesses from running, then protests become less about progress and more about self-destruction. Nepal is at risk of losing not just money but time that could have been invested in growth, time that could have built jobs for its youth, and time that could have transformed the nation. If the protests do not stop, Nepal may find itself 20 years behind the world. But if Nepal chooses stability, dialogue, and reform, it still has a chance to turn its story into one of resilience and growth. The choice is now in the hands of its leader and its people. Will they protect their future, or will they sacrifice it to endless unrest? So what do you think? Should protests continue in Nepal, or should the country prioritize its economic survival? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and do not forget to subscribe to Lal Mirch. Thank you.